Okay, let's come back together. All right, so I wanted you to have a chance to kind of see where those questions were, and we kind of did. Here's a question, and let's raise that depth of knowledge on it. Let's raise the rigor, the cognitive rigor of it. So from this morning, we've walked through kind of these general rules, right? If we're at only one correct answer, probably looking at that DOK 1 or 2. And again, we've talked around, there are other instances around this that may come into play. But when we talked about more than one solution or approach and requiring evidence, which came directly from that little share out we had after the analysis of the article, capturing kind of that general rule around it. So nice job constructing that as a group this morning. Other questions, right? So where does it fit? Where do these things come into play? And what you're going to find is there's not necessarily a hard and fast answer. And that's where, now that we're getting a better understanding of depth of knowledge, the work is going to start to get a little bit messy. Because even though we've got this whole depth of knowledge cemented down, or we're getting a better feel for it, now we think about, so how do I put this in application? So I had a conversation at one table that said, and I have this same question, how do I know how many questions or how many questions at what levels of depth of knowledge do I ask? So do I ask so many level 1 questions, so many level 2, so many level 3? But then how do I juggle that knowing that if it's more complex, it may take more time and things like that? And so the question kind of comes from, well, what are you looking for, right? Where are you diving in? And that's going to take us back to kind of like what is the standard that you have in mind? And that's what Laura's going to take us further on after lunch, is really digging into how many questions and what level you're asking those questions at is going to be based on what it is you're really looking for. And what it is you're looking for is going to come from that, from the standard itself. And she's going to dig into that and kind of take you through a nice process of that. So when we did that first piece right off the top, you had a chance to kind of dig into those skills and pull that through. That's also a general guideline to take into consideration, right? We're going to go into more in-depth, but then with DOK, how did that reflect out on where we're at in our classrooms now, as you found from the skills and things that are there? What dictated a piece of cake versus kids could get it here or there, or where we found that our students would really have an overall general struggle? And so really getting into that DOK and better understanding that, there's not going to be a hard and fast rule day to day, unit to unit. It's going to be based on what is it you're looking for, and how is that going to reflect out so that you can make sure you have a full understanding of where your students are at. And as we said in the beginning, it's going to be around instruction. It's going to also affect the type of questioning that we're going to ask of students. And it's also then going to reflect on what that assessment is that reflects the instruction in the way that I've questioned students through the work. So going full circle, we want you to reflect. So remember our definition of cognitive rigor? We're going to take about 2 minutes, go back, find that definition. And I noticed as I was going around, some of you were not able to articulate a definition, so hopefully now you'll have a chance to do that. Let's go back, revisit that definition. And in 2 minutes, I'll have you turn to a partner and engage in conversation again to see where your new definition of cognitive rigor is from our work this morning. All right? Any questions that you have? Go ahead.